We want to welcome everybody. This is really helpful. This is more focused to working with folks at the EPA, right? But we appreciate everybody here. Now, we do have a last minute pinch hitter batter up is Jamie Blackburn. He is with iAdvantage Software. Daniel is out sick today. Talked to him yesterday as we were planning and reviewing this, and he is out. He's down and out for the count. So if you're asking any questions, it may get translated and put over to Daniel, but Jamie's going to pinch hit today. And this is a little different for us at GovBrief. For those of you who have been here before, this session actually is including a vendor product demonstration. And it's really important because this event is not affiliated or endorsed by any of the agencies, GSA included, although you guys are GSA contract holders. And a participation for you is voluntary and engagement by you. And that's what enables you to be able to communicate. Is not an endorsement to buy from anybody. So the idea is we use this as dialogue, but there's a lot of folks that are here that we know want to see what you have to offer. And with that, I'm going to open this first poll. Why are you here today? Is it because you're in R&D and you have a current collection need, or you have a data collection needs, or you're management, you want your data to work? Imagine that. I think Tom, I heard from Tom about making sure the QA works and that having to type and retype from paper. I'll get you in just a second, Tom, if you're willing to unmute. I'll find you in just a second. Are you tired of scrubbing bad data, or your boss made you come? And have you ever been to a GovBrief briefing before? This, like I said, this is a little bit different because it's more of a vendor presentation, but we do what we're asked to do. Jamie, that's what we do.
That's right.
Around here. All right, so 1 second. Let me see if I can find Tom, because I think what I got. Hey, Tom, you there? Can you unmute, Tom?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Tom. So you had a question about something about the QA process. You have some issues. What's your issue?
Historically, there's always been an uncertainty as to how quality assurance is done, such that we have a standard way of documenting that the electronic version of the data match the hard copy of the data. There's flawless transcription.
And something about making sure that you can go between collection to analysis and analytics or something like that?
Yeah, right now we have to manually enter data in from a study. And if it could be moved, if the electronic data had proper QA, those data could be flawlessly transformed into or transmitted into statistical analyses packages and save us the trouble and the possible mistranscription of data.
Are you telling me that some of your people may mistranscribe things that they're typing? I can't imagine that, Tom.
Rumor has it.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Did you get that, Jamie? I think
I did. And Tom, we actually we understand that problem in a large way. We actually provide a way to transcribe data, but we also audit it and provide a way for that person to enter who they are and what they're doing and why they're doing it. Because as you know, it's such an important process, because once that data is in, you can't go back, right? It's very linear coming back. And so we actually have a whole methodology that we could show you if we get to a demo with you ever, that we could show you that exact problem and how we address it, from an iPad in the field to a person taking it from a paper form over, or even just entering it in. Just remember, our product goes through a validation in QA for GLP. We have to be able to do those things. It's one of the things we're most proud of, but it's not something you don't actually see. We can't show you hands-on how we go through our extensive review of how we ensure quality. Because as Dave will tell you, we do another briefing here about how to stop, how to improve your data. And the first thing is, we believe the scientific method provides that way to do so.
Yep. And real quick, let's introduce you. iAdvantage is, you're down in North Carolina, right?
Right, Cary, North Carolina. It's right between Raleigh and Durham. It's right where it's right smack in the middle.
Right smack in the middle. And you know a little bit about data collection and
That's right. We've been
capturing it?
doing this. Yeah. Like for problems like Tom has, we've been, we started off as a scientific company, and that's our sister company. And that's a group of scientists who saw a long time ago that having massive amounts of paper data is just going to continue to produce some quality issues. And so we started building our product almost 20 years ago, and it's evolved to a point where it's pretty turnkey. And we have a lot of things. We're going to talk about how well it's used and what it's used for.
Super. And you are a small business. You have a lot of experience with EPA and FDA and USDA, and you're a GSA contract holder. And as I mentioned, it's not this isn't a commitment to purchase from anybody, but want to make sure you have that. I do have the session docs. And Curtis has a question. He says, you mentioned adhering to GLP. Are there accreditations? Great question. We can start off right there, because if you have questions like that, you can pop it in the Q&A, or you can do it in the chat like Curtis did, and I will do my best to find it. What about the GLP? Are there accreditations for that?
So we go through audits, which we generally have to show, and that's the way we show our accreditation to our sponsors. I'm not aware. I mean, if there is a place to be accredited, I know that as we're working right now, and we'll talk a little bit about this later for our SOC 2 as well as our FedRAMP future, we know that we're going to go through kind of the check off. And SOC 2, for instance, is a CPA firm that takes us through that. Yep. So I'm not sure there is a GLP, but I'd love to hear more about that, actually, that we could be accredited for. We do have like a whole crew of scientists that could speak to how we go through. We just went through one. It takes us quite a bit of time to go through to have our software checked for GLP awareness.
Yep. And just like Curtis, you can participate, pop in the Q&A, or you can raise your hand. We love to throw people right under the bus, including Jamie. You can get on and just pepper him if you need to. And if you have something that you don't want everybody else to see, you can send it to info@iAdvantagesoftware.com. So that is where you would go and grab that information. So let's get you. We're gonna get started. We're gonna do a couple things different today. I'm gonna get out of this and hope that I can make this work the way that we want, Jamie. So I'm gonna get this ready, and there you go. Get rid of that, and we're gonna start this video for you guys to see a little bit about how this works.
Just a short 3-minute.
I get to help feed people with my work, with my little part in this. I'm more than a collector of data. I'm capturing the clues that lead to a healthier world.
It takes an innovative tool, one that's easy to use and intuitive for scientists in the laboratory and the field to log the statistics that turn into action, into sustainable food and medicine.
When I'm out here, the eStudy platform by iAdvantage software allows me to efficiently collect data and samples for the laboratory. It's a seamless platform of interlocking functions that's efficient to use, intuitive and concise, more so than any other electronic platform I've used.
The eStudy platform by iAdvantage software is a flexible, web-based platform that empowers scientists to design, monitor, and manage research and development studies, and to streamline data collection and reporting. Licensed and used worldwide by major agricultural, chemical, and seed companies for a variety of research and development studies to support EPA, FIFRA, and other regulatory authorities. It is also GXP compliant for studies of everything from animal, plant, soil, air, and water. The platform's workflow is built by scientists for precision of data collection in laboratories and field sites. In eStudy Manager, project managers and study directors design the study, including e-notebooks for each of the laboratory and field sites. The designs are stored in the database. E-notebooks specific to each of the laboratory and field sites are made available. Data from all laboratory and field sites are collected in e-notebooks and immediately securely stored in the database. In real time, project managers and study directors monitor results, and create reports. Study managers say that the eStudy platform speeds up everything and makes the process simpler, from data collection to validation to the reporting process. So managers can immediately see results from anywhere in the world. And faster feedback means more expedient decisions, which speeds innovation and profits. The eStudy platform works with any type of study data. It was built for research and for any situation where accurate, timely data must be collected from multiple sites.
Schedule your free discovery call today to learn more about eStudy platform by iAdvantage software.
There we go. Fantastic. That's the first time we did that. So hopefully, did you get to hear that? Did that actually work, first of all?
I heard
Awesome.
it.
Awesome. Well, that's fantastic. We got through the first part of the craziness. Well, two things. You're the pinch hitter. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to turn this over to Jamie Blackburn with iAdvantage. He's going to show us some of the details as part of the presentation here. And I'm going to ask some questions as well because I'm interested. And Tom, you can unmute at any time because you were already elevated to the ability to do that. And make sure you're doing the presentation version there. You're like super wide screen.
Yeah, I know. I'm working on it. Sorry.
See that? Pinch hitters up. Get ready. So we appreciate you guys joining us. And if you have any questions, please pop it into the chat. I do have a couple things, making sure that folks do have there you go. That's working.
Okay.
Those are the session docs. And I'm going to do one more thing, Jamie, before you get started.
Okay.
I'm going to grab this video link so that they can actually see that and hear that in HD and all that. So we'll pop that in there as well. So you ready to rock?
Ready to rock.
All right, here we go.
Thank you, everybody, for being here today. So I just want to do, the key to this is we've been doing briefings for what, Dave, over a year now on data and such. And I wanted to talk a little bit. We've been asked several times about how is our product used by scientists. And we think this was a great opportunity to talk about our product. So the first thing is a little bit about us is we're licensed and used worldwide right now. In fact, we'll tell you some of the numbers. But we've been helping agriculture, ag chem companies and seed companies for over 20 years with our software, and we have a lot of legacy going on there. We've done all these different types of R&D studies, and we've helped, of course, the EPA pesticide stature of what is needed for reporting and such.
Real quick, Jamie, can you kill that? It says something about a huddle.
Sorry? Yeah, my huddle. I'm not attending my huddle.
You're not attending. This is your huddle today.
This is it.
This is it.
So every day at 1:30, we meet with our developers, and today's not going to happen for me. So a little bit about going on is, when you ask yourself what's the most valuable to you and your organization, it's probably going to come up with some sort of software that actually is used, it's embraced, and it's repeatable and such. And so we actually have our software out there that we now have folks who have gone from sponsor to sponsor using the same product. In fact, recently we had a new sponsor added because their chief scientist, their chief regulatory person needed that in place. And so we feel like it's a really good place. But we've asked you some questions, right? We earlier asked questions on why you're here, and we've asked you, but we haven't asked you, are we going to ask the question soon about how they use their data?
I love that. So we can do that, and we can say, what is your involvement with the data?
Yeah.
Are you a collector of it? Do you tell people to collect it? You will get this information, is what that is. Do you run the systems that hold it? We know that there's some IT folks here that may be responsible for making sure that the systems work. Do you analyze it and make sure it makes sense? So as Tom was talking, hey, once you get it, you want to make a use of it, right? So do you analyze it, or do you just use it and you can choose as many as you want? Or are you the ones that actually use the data? And then what's your biggest issue in the process? So it's designing, because if we design it right, Jamie, right? If you design it right on the front end, and I think this is what's important, is that you mentioned it, and I heard it in the video, designed by scientists for scientists. I think that's a critical differentiator for what happens in
we're-
the things that you wind up doing. It's a little
right.
different than everybody else, right?
In fact, we're extremely methodical in the scientific process on that initial piece, right? Because you want to measure twice and cut once.
Oh, so true.
And so it's an incredible important point to why we think our product, especially from the get-go. So if you have to collect data down the road, not only today, but tomorrow and possibly next year in a repeatable way, we're a great tool to go down that path.
Fantastic. So we'll keep that open for just a second, and
Okay.
we got a bunch of folks. 72%. That's not bad.
No,
But we'll take another one if you got it. So we'll end this in 3, 2, 1, and boom. And we have another one in a minute if you want to do the headache one, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So go
Okay.
ahead. What you got?
all right. So I'll keep going. So
And thank you for pinch hitting, by the way.
absolutely. So our mission statement has always been about creation of value through the vision and commitment. You know, I have to say, I have been extraordinarily impressed since joining our team here about the original idea of how this software can continue on. And you can see that we have quite a bit of experience with sponsors in the commercial world, who all, by the way, end up probably reporting on some regular basis to EPA and USDA. And it was that software decision. It was almost a decision that we can't have fax machines everywhere and such like that. And so we have to go through and we have to do things like data capture. We have to have good project management, good study management. And it's that company management. When you put it all together, we feel like we have the right setup. And in fact, our sister company, our science team, uses our product to fulfill their services. It was designed for global ag, as we said, these senior scientists, and immediately they started seeing the beginnings of what was the value of having this electronic product, bring it in. Because nothing's better than when you're collecting data on a Monday and Tuesday, you can see as it's collected, you can see and report on what's out there. So the birth of iAdvantage came from a lot of different sponsors that you're probably all familiar with. And the unique value of study is that, like we say, it's that first that design. There is an Excel-like data collection format. It's something people are familiar with. Most of our sponsors, when we ask for feedback, most of it's about the fact that different users of the product who are working for different one or more of the sponsors all feel like our product is straightforward in use. In fact, we get tremendous positive feedback from the people who have to enter that data, who are in the field, who are not on a network, and they know that the data is safe, secure, controlled, and auditable later on.
And when you think about that real quick, because we have folks that are actually in that, if anybody want to chat or raise your hand and I'll make sure you get the interaction. But one of the challenges for folks in the field is making sure that they know how the data needs to be collected and where it's supposed to go, right? And it sounds simple, but at the end of the day, you have to make sure that the design works so that the people in the field know what to do, right, Jamie?
That's right. That's right. You have to think through all the possible opportunities. And not only that, scientists by nature are creative. And so the scientists in the field will think that they have another way to answer it. And so we have to provide and give provision for that sort of situation. So for instance, we talked about earlier, they can actually add something special in or add on or ad hoc, but they have to put it through an audit type process where they sign off on it and say, this is indeed what I'm doing.
And this is important because as a lot of folks that are out there, especially with EPA, the idea of just putting out something on paper or in a spreadsheet that then can get misinterpreted or the input is not right. Because that's one of the things that we've learned over the past years, that there's a lot of folks using Excel, just Excel, and there's a lot of paper still out there, right, Jamie?
That's right.
And I think the folks that are here probably are part of that as well. So if you have any insight for that you'd like to ask Jamie about the collection part, which is built directly on the design part, and I've done enough of these with you to know that the design is critical for making the collection work for the especially for the people in the field, and then have it be usable later, right?
That's right. And study managers can go through this whole process in which they're almost in a controlled environment to ensure that they don't go out of bounds and that it just literally rolls out. So it's not unusual that communications are between a study manager and the people putting it in, but it's very elegant. It's very, it flows well.
Yep. And we had 25% of the people said making the changes in the middle create problems. So obviously you've seen that where somebody wants to change it. And as long as you stay within the guidelines of the system, it works for you, right?
That's right. And remember, it's always being put in the cloud. So that means that on that Tuesday, after you have a designated rollout on Monday, that means on Tuesday, you can see the growth. And when your boss, and they always do, right? Your bosses always say, how's it going? Well, you can give them a status on how it's going, because that data is going to put up. If there's a network available, or when the network is available, we're putting the data to the cloud. And that means that data is available to you, the study manager.
Yep. And getting the right data and data collection is 75%, 63% saying cleaning data so it can be used. Everybody has the same problems.
Exactly the same problem. And it's
exactly.
A lot of it we planned early, and we see a lot of, if we ever got the chance to talk to anyone on where we think things are going, we would mention a lot about things like FAIR, opening data up for metadata to learn more about each data item so that you can search on it. So if you have been collecting data for 10 years and the person who started that data collection had some information, so we feel like there's a whole bunch of growth. Remember, this is we spent a lot of effort a few years ago going to the cloud, and that has just opened up our eyes to all the opportunities. Things like operational updates, for instance, that we can jump on something when it gets out of bounds for you on one of your study points. We feel like we can add a whole lot of value because of the platform of eStudy.
Super.
All right.
Is this product, here it comes. Is this product FedRAMP certified authorized? Has any agency sponsored you for FedRAMP? Funny you should ask that, Curtis.
That's right. That's a great question, Curtis. We are not there yet. But as you know, getting FedRAMP certified is it's a complex process. and
otherwise known as a full proctology exam. Yeah, just saying.
And chances are that earlier huddle that I wasn't on was going to mention FedRAMP several times.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of SOC 2, which, as many people know, SOC 2 is also a leading kind of contributor to FedRAMP.
Mm-hmm.
And we're on our track, and we could talk more about that if we got that discussion.
And Curtis, your question is, any agency sponsored you for FedRAMP? And that is there are several that are in the mix. The commitment level obviously is both ways, right? So an agency has to say, hey, we want to step up and do this. But that's a great question. Appreciate that, Curtis.
The chicken and egg thing is a tough one in this world, but we want to be both. So we're going to get there. And
FedRAMP is making improvements too.
Yeah.
So they're making improvements to the process and making it easier and more manageable, because it's a challenging process. So go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get FedRAMP sidetracked. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I don't know if this FedRAMP is a sidetrack anymore. It makes everyone better. So we think it's all a good thing that we're engaged in going.
Yeah.
All right. So a little bit about our workflow, just so you get a sense, because what we're hoping today is we provide you knowledge on our product. And the second thing is, if there's further information needed, we would love to get into the details of your problem, and we'd love to demonstrate clearly. But it's important to know a little bit. The key about our product is, as a manager, you start off, like right now, everyone's planning a little bit for next year, early planning season, and are going through a process of kind of executing the check and balance that has to go through by a study manager. Program managers even are getting involved, and they're building this thing. Once they start building it, it becomes data points. It becomes relevant to, it's an empty data set, so to speak. And that empty data set is just waiting for data to be entered. And checks and balances and, measure twice, cut once, all those concepts are being done in the cloud. And then finally, we start deploying. Now, there's a point where you deploy where it could be all at once. You could say Monday, December 1st, we're going to do this. I'm not sure when December 1st is, by the way, but the notebook is sitting there. We also have an API which can enable a lot of things. We have big dreams for our notebook because it's out there in the field. It's capable to encrypt local data, so it's secure and controlled. And our notebook also gives you the ability to perhaps pass other data. So we're actually dreaming right now, I guess you could say, or planning for things like what drones could be feeding and such out in the field where there is no network or partial networks. But our notebook is offline, online. If there's a network, great. If there's not, then we simply capture it and again, encrypt it and control it and then send it off. And then the process repeats. It goes back to the database. And then once the study manager has deployed this and people are entering data, they can start tracking, they can start executing and actioning on that data. So it's a very smooth process that has been working for some time now. And you'd find that overall, the control of it is what a scientist likes. It's the insurance that I am going to get back the data I expected to get, and in the methods I want, and that the scientific method, the workflow was really, those scientists worked very hard with the software developers to ensure that happened.
And I think Tom's question, maybe a rudimentary question, but I think you're right, Tom. But it sounds like as though you are collecting raw data real time. Are there options to annotate data, e.g. field notes? And are the recording devices assigned to specific team members cleared for entry? And is the software monitoring entries unusual expected entries in real-time Q&A? All of those are great questions.
They all are. So let me see if I can address them all. So we are collecting it, and there is opportunity to annotate, as I said, but you would have to, like, for instance, if I remember right, you actually sign off that you're the person. You have to sign in as an individual. It's imperative that there is no shared sort of accounts, even though you could have a PC that a laptop is used by several people. They're each going to log in with their unique accounts. Those unique accounts are controlled by the sponsor, the original study manager. And so there is kind of a link between the person who's entering data and that study manager knowing what's going on. And they check it. They actually check it quite often to make sure that who's entering the data is who's supposed to enter the data. But not only that, you can't, it's good security, right? So SOC 2, for instance, ensures that we never allow someone to use a machine someone else has to enter data in. That's just not possible. It would kill our whole process. We understand that. Let's see. The question I didn't.
So that was the recording devices assigned to specific team members. They can be an individual device. In fact, sometimes you're providing that device, right?
That's right. Well, no. We generally don't even know who's entering the data in the end. It's generally the sponsors who know who they contract with to build these situations out in the field, these assays and such.
Gotcha. And is the software monitoring entries for unusual or unexpected entries? And the answer...
So that's like an operational concept. So, of course, you can always do ad hoc reporting. You could come in Monday morning and see what's happened and if there's any boundaries you want to check, because you're going to have the raw data available to you. You can also use our API to have your own program that runs through. A lot of scientists now are becoming... Well, they're data scientists, but now they're also becoming, I can write Python type. So they're writing code that says, I want to check for these anomalies or these exceptions or these boundaries. And then on top of that, we actually have been looking at products that can also do the same thing. Very much operational products from the operations world of paper type factories and such, who have been doing this for years, right? Watching to make sure my Oreos come down the line and they're the exact spec we expect.
That's the most important thing. Oreos have to be right.
That's right. And so yeah, we have a lot of opportunities because we do have the one thing that's imperative, and that's the data-centric view of it with our platform.
So we do it from Curtis. Is the goal to be FedRAMP certified?
Yes.
Yes. And are there collaborative spaces for working with data? Great question, Curtis.
Yes.
And though it is isolated in other ways, absolutely.
Yeah. So
it has to be both, right?
That's right. We chose Oracle, and we have the API, for instance, right now that allows you to get the data out of there. We've been asked a lot of other interesting questions about APIs. And we feel like by being in the cloud, like I said, when we went to the cloud, subservices like APIs became wide open in our ability to deal with them.
Hey, and there's a lot. There's even guidance for the, maximizing APIs now.
That's right.
And also you mentioned FAIR too, with the idea of having the data that can be reused, so you don't have to keep going through the same study over and over again.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So our database, I think the last number I checked the other day was 37,000 variables exist in our world. A lot of those variables are used repeatedly by different sponsors because it's just common use science. But there's also very specific ones that are for certain product lines and such. All of those just show you how important each data item is, because I don't think a bunch of people just create 37,000 items for no reason.
for no apparent reason. I'm gonna leave that alone.
That's okay.
Hey, Thomas, pop open your mic for a second, because I think this is good. For example, if you entered ambient temperature of 50 degrees Celsius, would it alert the individual to check the entry real time? So that's what do you got with that? Tom, you got a really good. This is
it's just the level of QA real time that it's doing that. It's monitoring for entries. It expects a certain value, and then it alerts the data entry person that, wow, that's out of bounds. Are you sure that's correct? I'm just curious as to how much QA there is real time in the data set.
So Thomas, I may have to defer here later, but I'm pretty sure that we can, first of all, set the boundaries of what you can enter here, because it's really important when we, for instance, do like different spray techniques and such, and qualifying that so that people don't make mistakes. But I'm pretty sure that we have controls, and I can find out further for you. I can take that question and make sure we address it. But as far as like an interactive piece, there's also some controls there. So I'll take that exact question, Thomas, and how about I package up and answer it directly to you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
So I do have a question here for what kind of data headache you have, and then you can set up the next part.
Okay.
And that is it a mild twinge where your chamomile tea will solve your problems for you? Is it a couple of aspirin maybe? It's a mild throb, right? Nice little throb that you got. Or is a migraine where you're seeing spots with extra strength pills? They're necessary for that. Totally legal, because we're dealing with government personnel. We cannot do things that are not. Or is it irreversible brain damage from your data challenges that you have? We like to keep things light here. And we got a couple folks that like that last one. I figured there would be, Jamie.
Yeah. Only Dave can come up with a new term called data headache. As if it's like a new term in the industry. There
you go.
Yep.
Like I created data headaches. Fantastic. So, all right. So, we have the workflow working through that, and I love the questions that everybody has, because if we create the rules right and yet still have flexibility in there, how do you do that? How do you do it?
Sure. So like I said, we started off some time ago making our application the right technologies for growth, and certainly the growth not only in the commercial world but now into the FedRAMP world. We use different things that you might recognize, but some of the key things are the clouds, like Microsoft Azure, which is a place that will stay the same for us when we go to FedRAMP. Oracle Autonomous Transaction Processing is actually a big added feature in which we actually keep this Oracle in the cloud. And when you have all the Oracle in the cloud, you just have all of these opportunities to keep that data readily available. Oftentimes, I'm sure people here know, you put a study out and then you wait. And if it's paper-based, you're really waiting, and then you have to have it transacted into data to use and so forth. We're always hot. We feel like as soon as that data becomes hot, put online, it's hot and it's ready, and you can start your analysis or start going through your scenarios and building. We also plan to really expand on our mobile world. Right now, we are on iPad and we're on Windows Mobile, but we feel like there's going to be a big opportunity with Android when we get there. And part of that was the technology you chose. The key to this slide is we've chosen technologies that give us enterprise growth, but we can also offer what I call study level controls, and what you expect in that kind of smaller departmental level. All right, let me keep going here. My slides are, so I think this was asked before about FedRAMP. My boss wants FedRAMP done yesterday, and I can tell you that I don't think I'll get it that quick. So it's in the committed level. SOC 2 type 2 is right now. We're in the process of going down that. And that's a pretty one thing, but pretty involved, complex process. And SOC 2 just basically says I guess you would say a CPA firm has gone through controls, and to give you a sense of the controls, I think there's almost 50 new controls and scans and such that we have to go through. GDPR, we feel, is like on our horizon because that's becoming something out of Europe, I think California, and we feel like we're going to adhere to that as well. And certainly FedRAMP is the big one on this list. We are GLP compliant, 21 CFR, but we've gone through a validated audit trail process. We're encrypted and secure, so we feel really confident about our current environment. In fact, to tell you the truth, that's helped us transition to these other committed and initiated situations. A little bit about customer service. You see here that we actually feel like that's one of our great attributes because we have scientists helping. I recently attended a conversation between a brand new study manager who is building a study to be deployed and one of our scientists. And we feel like that's our great advantage is we have people who use our product all the time in the same industry. And we feel like that adds a lot of value. As far as extent of use, we have study types. We do multiple graphic. Right now, we even have some new African studies going on. We support multiple languages. And we deal with imperial versus metric and so forth. And the study types that we've been building, of course, let's face it, everyone, like I said, I feel like especially when it comes to templates for reports, the EPA and USDA are quite prevalent and key for us. Here's the geographical locations. Africa's not on there yet, the north part that we're doing some, but you can see that's it's a pretty covered group right now as we speak, right? So we cover these languages today. We've actually been asked what's going to take for us to get the other ones. We think as we build our mobile tech, we'll keep expanding into more languages because the mobile tech is doing it now rather than software. And just to give you a sense, right now as we speak, there's 492 projects being run, some 1,840 studies, 20,000 trials. And with the cloud and so forth, those 3,200 users using this million lines of code aren't experiencing blips or hits or outages. In fact, our last outage, if I'm looking at my list, was in September for 2 minutes. And so you can see we're pretty consistent. We're there ready to go to collect that data because when people are doing field studies, they don't have time. They don't need to hear that we're out for the next hour, 2 hours, 5 hours.
And if you miss windows, it can be critical, right?
Very critical, right? And remember the beauty of our product, even if it's offline at the end, it's still collecting data, encrypting it, and controlling it for next time it's on the network. So I guess I want to say is we're like a rock almost as far as consistency and support as a platform. So in summary, we're used by most agriculture, chemical, seed companies. We've used for all these different types of studies and R&D. We are used by R&D folks who have to do these edge tests or these decentralized type of field trials. Just to support those registrations, which you all are very familiar with, I'm sure. And we're audited several times. In fact, we have really a whole regulatory team that works very hard at keeping us current, up to date, and so we can go through these audits without a problem that we just flow through. It's a normal check for us every year.
Great stuff.
All right, Dave. So that's my
All right,
prezo.
you can share that back over to me, and I'll.
You would think that that's an easy thing to do for me.
Hey, and while you're at it, I'm gonna go back and see who would like to continue the conversation, because we do have you have a lot of interest. You're already doing a lot of the folks that are looking at reports from your sponsors. It's coming from your system. It's actually coming out of your system right now.
Right.
So if you'd like to schedule a demo, get down into the weeds, go ahead and stop your share.
Yeah, I'm trying, Dave. Sorry.
All right.
I'm having problems getting my.
Let me see if I can. I don't know if I have control over that, actually.
Oh, hold on. I got it now. Found it.
There
Win.
it is.
I win.
All right. So we got the poll going. And if you'd like to participate, if you have anything else, Tom, great questions right there. Love your participation. Curtis, if there's anybody else that would like to participate, we love that. A couple of session takeaways. That this is feedback from your folks that we've heard over the briefings, is that because it's scientific methodology, it's designed for scientists, just like you said, Jamie. And if you do good design in the front end, you get good data on the back end, so that you don't have to go through the data cleansing. And yes, there's AI that happens there, but we also know from doing presentations and briefings on AI is not the panacea that everybody thinks it is it, Jamie?
Right.
Right. So if we do a good design on the front end, and as I mentioned earlier, you are not obligated to purchase from iAdvantage software. However, because they are on GSA, and you've been GSA contract holders for a good while now, haven't you been?
That's right.
Yeah.
Several years now.
Yep. And you're a small business, so small business set-asides work. And if you're interested in a pilot, that's some of the things that can be done. Real quick, a recap email will come out. You have the presentation materials that you have for today. We'll make sure you get a copy of that. There'll be a link to the video if you want to share this with some of your folks. I know that there are some folks that registered that were not able to make it today. So that video will be put out for everybody, and a request for a one-on-one meeting if you want to continue the conversation with Jamie and or Daniel, who you are pinch hitting for.
That's
Jamie
right.
Blackburn.
And yes, and we are always available to talk problems and solutions. And we love to hear about the problems. We've heard, well, since working with Dave now a few years, we've had more great meetings about incredible stuff that's been done and put together. And we'd love to continue those conversations. If there's anything we can show you, we'll show you right then.
Yep. And Curtis, great questions. Really appreciate you.
Yeah.
Because the FedRAMP situation is real, and it's not easy, as we know. So,
Right.
So if you don't have anything, anybody got anything else they would like to ask before we jump and get you out of here? Love to get you out of here early so that you can grab coffee before the next meeting. But we don't want to leave you without anything that you need. So the end of that poll. Whoops, that did not work. You are welcome, Curtis. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Any parting comments from anybody? Let us know. And please do reach out to Daniel and or Jamie. And Jamie, you have a question for Tom that you're wind up.
Right. I'm going to follow up.
Yeah. All right, folks. Hey, thank you, Jamie. Great job pinch hitting.
You bet. Thank you, Dave.
And likewise, always great. You did a great job. And if anybody needs anything, you know where to find them.
There you go. Thank you, everybody.